back to Radiant Damage Podcast. We're your hosts for the evening. It's Paladin Ashley, Paladin Harley, wherever he is in relation to the screen, and Cleric Alyssa here. Thank you guys so much for joining. As always, we have some geeky news for you guys tonight, and there is quite a bit to talk about. We kind of cherry-picked a couple of things that really stood out to us. The first thing we're going to talk about, I personally haven't seen it because I do not have the access to the CBS streaming service, whatever it is. And it is Picard dropped. Its new series dropped just, very, very recently. I think a few nights ago, the first episode of the series aired. So that's something. Sounds great. I saw that 7 of 9 is going to be in it, which is really cool. Do you know her? The board lady.
Yeah, I was like, that's her, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Her. Yeah, she still looks great too.
Yeah. Of all the people to make a series or whatever, Picard is. I feel like that's a good choice for Star Trek because I didn't even really watch Star Trek at all, but I remember things of when my dad would watch it. I was like, he is smooth. He's amazing. He's a very interesting protagonist because he's not even I remember he's not traditionally masculine, yet he is kind of. He's like, and I just thought that was really cool.
He's like fancy Englishman masculine.
Yes, that's it. That's probably.
Yeah, he's very classy masculine.
Classy.
And an incredible leader. I mean, he wields his authority in a way that you're both comforted, but also a little terrified. Hints of like, okay, I don't want to mess with this guy. So very, very cool. Yeah, I definitely like Picard. What are your thoughts? Harley, have you gotten to see it? Do you have the CBS streaming thing that I don't think anyone has?
I do not have CBS All Access, whatever they call it. I'm interested to watch it at some point, but
me too.
But yeah, Next Generation is actually the first Star Trek series I ever watched. So, and I feel like that's probably the only one I've watched all the way through.
Okay.
Unless you count the J.J. Abrams movies, but I know some people don't, but it's still Star Trek, so whatever.
It's part of the franchise. If Star Trek counts as Star Trek, I think we can count it as
technically related.
Technically, definitely. So yeah, I think that works. Whatever. Like if you like it, you like it. It's definitely a part of the franchise. So I thought that they were definitely entertaining. They definitely felt like Marvelized a little bit. It was kind of more
definitely modern for this generation type Star Trek.
Yes, I think that's a good way of putting it. I usually just call it Marvelized if it's like not necessarily supposed to be film and artsy, but definitely entertaining and is capable of some depth and nuance. Anyway, so yeah, any other thoughts on the Picard series? Maybe do you have a favorite Starfleet captain?
Yeah, definitely Picard, since it's probably my first Star Trek. So yeah, I definitely like Picard the best. And it's cool to see Patrick Stewart back. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think Picard is pretty cool, but I remember also, the thing is I remember Picard's name, so it makes me think I should choose that one, but I remember the lady as well. Yeah, Jane. Oh, yeah. I remember having a lot of respect and just liking her.
Janeway.
Yeah. But Picard's more memorable, but I think if I had to choose as much as a favorite, something about her, I was just, but again, it's probably because I was a little girl. I was like, shit.
Yeah. I think that I think Janeway is my favorite Starfleet captain, actually. And that doesn't mean that I think she's the best one. I think Picard is probably the best one. It's the same with Doctor Who. I think that 11 and now actually 13 as well are my favorite doctors, but I recognize that 10 is the best doctor. Tennant was the best doctor. I get it, but what I mean? So there's a difference, and Janeway is my favorite, I think. Yeah. Yeah, she's great. Hey, you look great, dude. I'm just saying. Yeah, you're right. Directly centered.
We're finger gunning.
Yeah, I was trying to stand the camera up, stand the phone up so I don't have to hold it.
Yeah, it was great.
It was not shaking the whole podcast.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna Vogue. Okay, great. So The next thing we were going to talk about is, I don't know if you've heard recently, but I think you actually mentioned you did hear about this, but the Obi Wan series has been pushed indefinitely into limbo now. Supposedly that kind of like, everybody was sort of losing their minds a little bit over that. I don't. I know I don't care that much. Obi-Wan's a cool character, but I'm not big enough into Star Wars in general to just eat up everything that they send my way, so I don't feel deprived in any sense of the word. What about you?
It seems like
Excited for it. Or Alyssa, you want to go?
Oh, sorry.
I thought I over you, so sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Sorry.
I think it was like, not being able to see each other makes it extra difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely
Anyway.
awkward.
Yeah. And transition. I think, I don't know. I'm not too invested in that character. So again, I also don't feel deprived, but I also didn't hear about it until today. So it's hard to be upset about something you didn't get the hype for. So I can sympathize though, if it depending on how long it's been in the make or whatever. So I could see
at least over a year now.
Okay, I could see a few people if they got excited. It's unfortunate, but I'm cool. But it doesn't seem like it's a big loss.
The thing that people are frustrated about, and actually go ahead and you can feel free to share, Harley, and then I'll throw in my 2 cents on why I think people are so mad. But
well, I was excited for it. I like Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is probably one of the few things from the prequels that I actually really enjoy still. So he plays that character really well. So I was looking forward to it. I'm not one to kill Kathleen Kennedy apparently just because I would rather them stop if they think something's wrong and take their time to make it better. I think is what's going on. Who knows? Movies, TV shows get shelved all the time or put off. Look at what just happened with New Mutants for years. It's supposed to come out 3 years ago. So.
It's true. Yeah, absolutely.
All sorts of reasons shows get put on hold, script rewrites, all kinds of stuff. So honestly, it could be anything. But yeah, it's definitely a problem in Star Wars and Disney right now. I definitely agree with that. It's a problem when it comes to their live action productions. Except for maybe The Mandalorian. That seemed to be going pretty smoothly, but everything else has a problem.
The Mandalorian is just blessed, I think.
They lucked out on
it. They did, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me mute my laptop. Okay.
I thought it was mine for. I thought my phone was.
Right.
I didn't do it. It's not my phone. It's stuff.
Yeah, for real. No, yeah. It's hard to remember to silence everything. We forget how much technology is talking to us. But no, yeah, I know. But no, I do agree with you. You brought it up, and I completely agree. That was what I was going to say. Is I think the reason people are losing their minds is because of Kathleen Kennedy. This is just another reason to demonize her. I don't know her. I don't know if she's, good at her job or bad at her job. But it sounds like she just cares about the material. She apparently the reason why they're putting it into almost like a stasis, like it's in limbo right now indefinitely, is because she wasn't happy with the script. And Kathleen Kennedy is isn't she the head of Disney in the film?
She's basically the figurehead. She's in charge of it right now, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, she's beholden to the Disney gods who sign the checks, but she's essentially in charge of all Star Wars.
Right. She specifically is the head of the Star Wars division of Disney. Was that it? Yes. She's the Kevin Feige of Star Wars. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so Kevin Feige is in charge of Marvel. So she's okay, cool. Well then that it makes sense to me. I feel like if I would actually be more concerned if I ever heard about her not liking something and still signing off on it anyway. You know what I mean? At least she's using her own judgment. Whether that judgment is questionable, I don't know. I don't know the person. I don't know anything about her other than she's been demonized.
She's a really good producer. She's got a lot of stuff that people have a lot of respect for, which is why she got the job. I think the disconnect between there seems to be a problem with her in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's she's in charge of everything, but I think a lot of people think that she just doesn't love Star Wars the way they do. So, and you know, like how many movies now Solo went through all this crap with changing directors.
Mhm.
There is a trend of Kathleen Kennedy hiring people and then, you know, not working out and then having to play catch up and try and fix the problem. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that definitely like that's a problem, you know. I think that it's kind of like silly to question someone's love of something, especially having to make these difficult decisions. You know what I mean? Like that's a really hard place to be.
Yeah,
It's
it's hard when you're in charge of everything. You got to make sure everything gets made or gets done. You know, like it's easy to sit on Twitter and troll somebody for like their job when like you don't have the responsibilities they do.
Yes, or to, you know, write your fan fiction and say that it's better. That's easy to do.
Just sit back and criticize when you don't have to worry about the consequences of everything you do. So
Exactly. That is definitely easier said than actually done. I think that the real problem that I do see, and I hate to cry sexism, but I do notice that female CEOs do tend to get more, you know, pushback and more hate often than male CEOs. So I'm just saying, like, you know,
it happens.
CEOs, it's almost like the corporation is a whole entity that they're mad at.
Yes.
But when it's a female CEO,
they know their
times they won't blame the whole corporation. They'll blame that one specific person. And that's the disconnect I noticed, because people still will hate on things.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of times, a little more inclined to call out the head lady than they will the head guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they specifically will learn her to, like, her name to single her out, and that is definitely it. That's definitely a good observation. I think that's very true. That's this trend that keeps happening. It's the same with like YouTube CEO, and I will go ahead and go on the record and say I don't necessarily agree with things that she does at YouTube. Yeah.
I don't say it a lot. But just I saw an interview once, and I'm like,
I don't like her personally, but I do think that I'm gonna go ahead and go on the record and say, like, I don't like her or what she's doing. I don't think that she seems shady to me. Mm-hmm. She does seem really shady to me, but I do still feel that she's getting extra hate because she's a woman in this position. I do think that the amount of vitriol is you know, coming from all these different voices might be a little less if she was a dude. You know,
I'm just like,
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely feel that she's, you know, a woman in a position of power does tend to get extra flack, and it is harder, I think, to make it in any industry like that.
And then if one fails, they're not given the same opportunity. It's not like they're gonna, like, if a female CEO gets fired, they're suddenly going to bring in another female CEO. They're always, you know, always a dude waiting in the wings to take that job. So
yeah, they do tend to. Yeah, that trend also seems very apparent to me. Good observation. So, yes. So any other thoughts on Obi Wan, the series, on Kathleen Kennedy, or anything like that?
Same old Star Wars fans being Star Wars fans. I do think people have legit criticism. I think legit criticisms with the way Lucasfilm has handled Star Wars, but there's no reason to send anybody death threats. Sorry, it's a fictional hobby thing you love in your life. Like it's not life or death. Like, I'm sorry, as much as I love many things that are fictional, like, it's like I'm not going to crawl over and die tomorrow if Star Wars suddenly disappears.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said. There is.
But then again, I'm a Star Wars fan, so I might be talking to the wrong people on that one. So
yeah, there's just not much talking to some of these fans. I'm not just
fan base. A certain portion of any fan base, really.
Exactly. I was just about to say
it just seems
every
louder
fan base.
with Star Wars.
It does, and I think it's because it's an absurdly large fan base. It is. Star Wars has been around for so long, and it's remained like it's timeless. So it's got generations of
older fans and newer fans.
Which is, similar to like what happened with Doctor Who when the Doctor suddenly was a woman, which I'm sorry, but like the chances of that happening, it's absurd that it hadn't already happened.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hadn't happened already.
But apparently it's good that they waited because the world was not ready. The world was still not ready, apparently.
Technically true.
Yeah, and everyone lost their minds because this is a series that's been going on since before Star Wars. I mean, this since the 70s. It's insane. So of course we're going to have more generations of voices adding their fuel to the fire. So it does seem more vitriolic than most for that reason. Yeah. It's just a show. These are your action figures, okay? And they're not doing what you're telling me.
These are your toys in your mind. Like, relax. Like,
exactly. Go ahead and get action figures.
It's a lot to you, but chill out. You don't need to send the directors death threats over the fact that Luke Skywalker didn't turn out the way you wanted him. Like, sorry.
Yeah. Don't send death threats to people. First of all, you're going to get yourself in legal trouble, right? It's illegal. You're threatening to kill someone over nothing. It doesn't exist.
You don't have the high ground.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah, you're being banned. You're being banned right now. I love
Don't try it.
That's a critique there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That was beautifully gross. So any other thoughts? Or are we good to go? Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and move straight on into, since we're talking about Star Wars, we might as well move straight on into the new KOTOR finally announced. We have heard this before. I believe that the Knights of the Old Republic game was announced to have a sequel back in 2016, if I remember correctly from what I read earlier today. But I believe that it was 2016 that we heard that before, and then that was shelved, and then now we're getting a new announcement that it is getting a sequel. I actually am kind of tentatively excited because I didn't play the original KOTOR, and I haven't played it because it was kind of like it was really gaining popularity around the time that I was just getting into video games. I hadn't heard of it by that time until far after. And by that point, the graphics were, left in the dust. So it just, I can't, they're fine for their time, but I couldn't do it. Like, I can't. I personally have a thing. It's hard for me to play older video games because I can't stand staring at a screen with bad graphics or like old graphics for a long time. You don't want to see
a square blob?
I can't. I don't want to see I don't want to play Tomb Raider, from the N64, you know what I mean? Like, or even before that. I don't want to play an old video game. It's just I just don't. I don't so sometimes I do. It just really does depend on the game, but most of the time
I think it just depends on what game.
I like the ones that are cute in their old ways, like some of the Mario games, or Pokemon games, where it's just like it's old, but it's not old. They're just using some of the elements from the older version. Yeah, I still don't play video games, but I like how it looks, and if I did play, I feel like that would be more of a draw because some of the bulkiness, I'm like, that doesn't even seem like it was attractive back then.
Yeah, like Laura Croft's figure being
her triangle, whatever it was.
Very odd. Yeah, and yet she brought all of the boys to that game, regardless.
Boys in the yard, that's what it's about.
Exactly. It was just all in their imagination. And Street Fighter was the same, like back at those, what is it? Like, I would say probably like 32-bit or something like that. And they were still really all over that. Anyway, but I feel like the bits, like once you go back that far, it's kind of charming. Like Alyssa said, like it's pretty charming at that point. But for once it was getting 3D, it sort of started, the polygons just kind of got a little weird. It was really strange.
Doesn't seem attractive.
Yeah, it's like those gummy ships in Kingdom Hearts. You know, just like
Yeah.
those prisms, and it's just weird. Blocks.
Yeah.
And
Digital blocks walking around.
exactly. And so this new one, this new KOTOR, I would genuinely play it. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I love BioWare. I know right now they're working on Dragon Age 4, which I'm so excited. I'm so excited about that. That's my favorite series. So they're working on that right now, so they won't be able to get to KOTOR in, I think, the very near future, but unless they have a separate team for that. But who knows? They might. So yeah, what do you think? Are you excited? Would you pick it up if they released it, or maybe not?
Yeah, well, I know people that have played KOTOR. I've seen people play KOTOR before, but I personally have like no history with that game. But I think it's cool that they're gonna try again. It seems right. I mean,
It's
they've
not
been
a
people been
sequel.
begging it for so long. Like, if you can do it, do it. Like, if you think you can make it good and do it proper, then sure, why not?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually, I think, a remake, and so it would be basically the same game, but with updated graphics, which would be really great. And I think the charm, though, the appeal of it is that you can choose, based on your choices, you can become either a Sith or a Jedi.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
so, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very BioWare. Having choice-based gameplay is very BioWare, which is what I love about them. Anyway. Yeah, I think that's going to be fantastic. So, have you played any BioWare games, by the way? Like, do you have any experience playing BioWare games?
I have experience watching others play BioWare games.
Totally fair.
I eventually receded into full old man status a couple years ago, where I was just like, I think I'm just gonna watch other people play a game, unless it's something I really want to play and have to make a point to go and like. I don't remember what the last console I bought was, but then again, I'm a weirdo, so like I really am the definition of a casual gamer. In this, I see something I like, I'll be like, "Oh, do you have that game? Cool, I'm gonna try it." Okay, I'm done. After like a day, I was definitely on the Halo 2 phase. I had my Halo phase, like a lot of people, but I think after that, I was just kind of done. I was like,
Yeah.
I still play fighting games whenever I get a chance, like certain ones, specific ones, because I like those games. So those were the only ones I was ever any somewhat good at. So
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, who wants to play a game that they're not necessarily like going to exceed at? Like, that's just frustrating. At least to me, I don't get enjoyment out of that. So, yeah. Well, like I said, my favorite is definitely Dragon Age, Inquisition specifically, which was the most recent that they made. And that was several years ago. I feel like that was 2015 or something like that. It was when they came out with Inquisition. It's a long time ago. Yeah. But thankfully, they have been, they released Anthem in between, because they kind of go like fantasy sci-fi, like they sort of are trying to appeal to both of their audiences, you know what I mean, like the genres, by switching back and forth, I think. And so they released Anthem, and they're like re-releasing it. They're working on it because it came out and it was kind of a disaster.
The less said about that, oh man. Ooh. Even I, a casual person, heard all the stories about that game. Good God.
Yeah.
Mostly because I listen to a lot of podcasts where they talk about video games. So I heard all the horror stories that happened with that game. Good Lord.
Yeah, I
like, this is why I'm not a gamer. I can't go through this. I'm not paying money for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that happened, for anyone who doesn't know, is there was, and this was the thing that I think really was the nail in the coffin, was there was actually a glitch which, if you played the game, it would brick your console, render it unplayable. And so that's pretty much a death sentence for the game. Yeah,
like literally.
Yeah, people spend hundreds of dollars on those consoles, and to play other games besides just that one. And so for that one to brick it, like, oof. Anyway, that was pretty bad. Yeah, that was real bad. Yeah.
Real quick, I to the bathroom. McCavity.
My chest. Yeah, I honestly do recommend, though, if you ever wanted to play Dragon Age Inquisition, you can play on a casual mode. So it's a lot more like roleplay heavy. BioWare, I think, usually does that. I'm not sure if they did that with Mass Effect. I don't remember. I think they did, where they have
played the first Mass Effect very briefly. Like I remember liking it. I just, like I said, I'll get like, depending on the game, I'll get like 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours into it, and just be like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish this. So
yeah.
I'm hard to commit when it comes to games. I'm just like, such
Yeah.
fun. I'm gonna watch somebody. I'm much more a spectator. There's a reason I watch Let's Plays because I can just watch somebody else do it. But like, oh, that's cool. I'm living vicariously through you. Cool. You're better at it than I would be. So I'm never gonna beat this. So I'll just watch somebody else better do it, and entertaining. So
right. Well, and I mean, a lot of games these days are made practically like movies. I mean, they're just, interactive to a certain degree. Like Last of Us, I genuinely just watched the cutscenes and I understood the whole game. I felt like I watched the whole, I feel like I played it. I did play a little bit, but I didn't actually play through it. I felt like I did, though, because I just watched the cutscenes and it was like watching a movie,
It's basically you're playing a movie. A lot of games are like that now.
Yeah, and
basically a movie. I mean, there was a lot more involved with that game, but yeah, that's how I basically. Like, I watched it as like a compilation movie. I watched let somebody else play it, but I also watched like a compilation of just the entire story in cutscenes. So I was like, this is great.
It's fantastic.
This might be the best Star Wars I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and what was it? I remember Detroit Become Human.
Oh no. Oh boy.
That's
not that guy's games and his problems. Good Lord. Ugh.
Oh yeah. No, it definitely had its problems. I think we're about to have a cat reentrance.
Hey. We're gonna get the cat to review cats this week.
Oh yeah, no, I've got to edit that tonight. Actually, I have to upload it because we didn't record it via Skype. I don't just have it already. So I have to upload, physically plug my phone in, to my computer like a caveman, so like some kind of savage. Anyway, but Detroit Become Human had its story problems for sure too, because it had some very bad implications. I don't know if you watched Mother's Basement. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Don't worry about it. If we're recording, it would record. Okay. Yeah, so you're good. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But yeah, so yeah, Detroit Become Human. It definitely had its story problems because of the implications. And I don't know if you've seen Mother's Basement, but he's a fantastic, he's reviewed video games, but he mostly does anime. But he reviewed Detroit Become Human because it just has some bad implications.
It's a David Cage game, and there is a history of them. They are very problematic. I've watched a lot of, besides Mother's Basement, the other podcast I listen to, which I guess I'll plug, Castle Super Beast, or formerly Super Best Friends. They have played all the David Cage games, and I have heard all the horror stories about that guy, all the horrible things he does. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
He is a problematic fellow.
He is, because he's so tone deaf, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He's tone deaf, but not only that, I don't think that he cares, even if it's been pointed out to him. And a lot of times he'll go back on yeah, and a lot of times he'll go back on what he said originally. He said that Detroit Become Human was not about race or racism.
Totally not about race.
Totally not about racism, even though it took place in Detroit. So
it's about robots.
Yikes! Anyway, so there's so Detroit Become Human is
I've seen a good. I haven't. I don't know the full story. I just remember I've seen someone play the.
Was it PewDiePie? And he played it.
It might have been him, but it's just the part where it introduced the one guy and him trying to help a defective android from killing a little girl, and I got to see someone play through a bunch of that.
That's the first mission.
Yeah, the first mission. There was also the what's it called before the actual game?
Kind of a tutorial.
Yeah, tutorial or
intro, walkthrough.
Yeah, something like that, like a pre-walkthrough or something like that, or sample. Basically.
You're talking about a demo.
Yes, the demo. I saw the demo for it, and then I got the basic idea of what the story was about.
Yeah. So basically, basically racism.
Just thought that was.
That should definitely be the subtitle for it. That's basically racist. Oh crap! How perfect.
Racism for dummies. Like there's just so tone deaf. Yeah, basically, like even the androids were kept, like when they weren't in use and they were on the transit on the bus, they were kept in the back of the bus. It was very clearly about racism. Like anyway, so it was just, it's so bad. And then David Cage vehemently denies. Like at first he didn't. At first I think he actually mentioned that it was allegorical for racism. And then afterwards, like after he heard people being like, oh, this is dumb. How did you do this? Why would you do this? Like this is so poorly executed. Then he started walking through that statement. Yeah. He vehemently denies it now. Anyway, so make up your mind, Cage.
Oh man!
But I will
clearly made up his mind over the years.
It's not about racism at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's not a game about racism. Not at all. It's about robots getting freedom, right?
Absolutely, even though they're enslaved, and you know what I mean, like all of this, and it's just so many implications. So, anyway, it's very clearly about racism, but whatever. So if you go by word of God, it's not. So the thing is, despite the problematic nature of it, the cutscenes are really incredible. I mean,
yeah, Quantic Dreams, or is it Quantic Dream? I think it's his company that makes those games. They're able to make really good games. In the game, you have to admit, like, looks beautiful and everything's well done. Got great actors in it. Just David Cage is the problem here. It's like he sucks people into his black hole of awful.
Yeah,
it's like, unfortunately, he performs well. It's him that's the problem. So.
Yeah, unfortunately. So he's gonna keep getting money and he's gonna keep making tone deaf games. It's fine.
Vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. And I'm going to keep watching the cutscenes because they are beautifully done, unfortunately. You know, I'm sorry, they're great.
They are a wonderful train wreck to watch. So,
that's true. Yes. Sometimes the acting is questionable, but most of the time it's really good. They have some good players. Anyway, so next thing that we were going to move towards, now we're going to leave problematic games behind us, and we're going to go straight back into comic book news. And the comic book news announcement that we have just heard, I actually just got this today, was that Blade was announced as a Marvel Phase 5 movie. So somebody already commented, and no shade to that person, but somebody on my Facebook already commented, but doesn't he already play Cottonmouth? And I'm like, well, Cottonmouth died, and it's fine. Like, people can play more than one character.
Yeah. And also that Netflix might as well not exist anymore. So it's like, it was awesome. I enjoyed some of them, but like, it's like, he's not Cottonmouth anymore. Can we move on, please? Like, even the joke at this point.
Yeah, it was Luke Cage, right?
Yeah.
Was the show, the series.
Yes,
exactly. It was Luke Cage villain.
He's also in Spider-Man, by the way. So, like...
Oh, there you go.
He was the Prowler. So, like, what does that matter if you already done an MCU movie?
He was. He was the Prowler's friend? I don't remember what he was, but he was also in that, yeah. He's already been in the MCU before. It's fine. Twice.
Yeah.
He can do it again. It's fine. I think it's fine. So that was announced. So what are your thoughts on Blade as a series, as this announcement? Do you like that announcement? Do you feel like, What do you guys think?
I remember Blade mostly just from the older movie with Wesley Snipes, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I remember that was kind of cool because it definitely whenever I think about it, because I'm so used to a lot of the comic books that get made, that thinking of a vampire,
Yeah.
it's hard to put in the same as the regular superhero comics.
Mhm.
So, not sure. I don't know because I always prefer the reason I end up liking Marvel more than DC is because I do like their choice in adding a decent amount of humor and just kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so I don't know which direction Blade. I don't remember it being too funny.
It was kind of cheesy, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I think there was humor in it, definitely, but like, some of it was like just in the nature of it.
Yeah,
like,
I
in the
mostly
cheese
just
of
remember
it.
that he's a vampire, and then realizing later that he was a comic superhero, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't put those two together because it just didn't seem like they connected, which is cool because that's probably the reason. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people like to break the mold or subvert expectations
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
But so tentatively, because it's probably cool. I think I just need to look at the. Is there a trailer?
Not yet. No, it's just been
Okay.
announced. It's just been
I think the trailer will really help me form
Yeah.
a more opinion. I think.
That's fair. Yeah, totally fair. Yeah, definitely that definitely will solidify. It's kind of funny that it's happening after Morbius has been announced.
Unfortunate.
Yep.
So
Oh
yeah,
no.
I kind of
Gotta have a vampire Blade to kill at some point.
yeah, exactly. Like that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I'm pretty sure he's gonna end up killing Morbius. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, if Spider-Man doesn't finish him off, whatever. So it'd be great. Honestly, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We all would.
I think we would. I think we would,
I
sir.
think we'd all enjoy seeing Blade kill more like Jared Leto Morbius. So,
I was thinking specifically Jared Leto Morbius.
Yeah.
No strong feelings about Morbius, but I have a few strong feelings about Jared Leto as a
you
person.
can always recast him.
Be great, actually. Anyways, that's fine. They've already
Or
shot.
fine. You can always make another vampire. There are plenty of them in Marvel. Like you just got to make one. So, there's a Dracula in Marvel. They're there. So
There is. Yeah, there's a lot. There's the Greek
some
gods are in
vampires
both.
for a long time in the comics. So they're around. Plenty
Absolutely.
to use.
All of them. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get an entire posse up there of vampires. What is it? It wouldn't be a coven. I'm not really sure what you call a group of vampires.
I was thinking you call them bats, which
A murder of bats.
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
I think ravens are called a murder.
No, yeah, crows are called a
Crows are,
murder. Yeah, I was just joking.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. Oh, cute. I just saw a picture of a friend. Okay, what? I'm gonna ask Google.
Oh, I was about to too.
For doing this. Okay. Is called a colony. Of course. I do actually remember that. Okay, a colony of vampires. Let's just go with that. So yeah, let's go ahead and make that. I just wanted to educate everyone. So here we go. We're learning together.
Those who didn't know, they are colonies of vampires.
Yeah.
I think I have a coven thrown out there for vampires too, besides just witches.
Maybe that's
A shroud.
well. You would know. You would totally know. You should be a vampire expert by now. Vampire Diaries, guys.
Oh.
I love my vampire stuff, so yeah, I have heard the term coven thrown about every once in a while for a vampire story. So, like I said, they use whatever name they choose for that specific story. Usually, colony, a coven, like a family, whatever.
Oh, I said that one a lot.
A family of vampires.
Yeah,
They're all
usually,
inbred.
Usually there's one who like turned all the others.
That's
like
true.
That's a common theme where there's a sire.
That's
and
true.
That's
Right.
That's so
because
creepy.
usually it's a bad situation.
Normally it's not consensual.
Yeah.
Nobody normally wants to be a vampire.
Normally not up for it. So
Not down. Not down.
Yep.
not down the whole dying thing, but living forever.
I don't want to live forever in this life.
Not this one. Yeah. Fictional world, maybe. Not this one. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, here we go. So the last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about and just kind of like discuss in general is something I totally yoinked from Screen Junkies, which was this fan question, actually. So shout out to the Screen Junkies fan that asked them this question, and then shout out to Screen Junkies for answering it. So what is Michael? So what is the most disturbing kids movie you guys remember watching? Like specifically aimed for kids, but you remember it disturbing you.
Let's see.
Go for it.
I think I would pick between two because one is technically, I'm pretty sure, a horror film, so I'm not sure how well it counts because it still kind of seemed aimed towards kids, but it's also literally has horror elements. But still, it got me real good as a child. Was Gremlins because the melting, just the creatures, it was much more than I was prepared for. And I remember we were on vacation at Galveston and everyone else was asleep, but it was vacation. So I was allowed to stay up. And they're like, as long as you don't wake up your brothers and sisters or whatever, we'll trust you. Because I was just old enough to where I could, because they were sleeping right next to us, that it was okay for me to just be doing whatever because they were there to wake up if anything happened. So I found the Gremlins, and it started out and it looked cute and nice because it's technically during Christmas, so it's when he's just the two, like the guy crushing on the girl. Clearly, like I think that's when I started because it was him interacting with her, and I thought it was like a cute little rom-com. And I've been a romantic since I was a baby, and so I was watching that, and then it was a cute little thing called a gremlin. I was like, oh, that's cute. And no idea, I had never heard of it before, so I was not prepared in the least. And it was like, oh, don't feed it past midnight. I was like, oh, that's weird, but I didn't think much of it. And then the first thing that got me about it was when the water fell on, and the way that he, like, little cutie, Gizmo? No. Yes? Is that the good one? Mm-hmm. Okay, Gizmo like falls on his face and then those little balls come out of his body, and I'm like, the first example of body horror as a child I ever saw.
Yep.
That looks painful and disturbing. And of course they were really mean, and then I just kept watching, but I remember slowly like getting out of bed and like hiding behind the bed, but still watching like this. And I remember just when that guy's like finger got bitten off when it turned because they fed it, and just them melting. And then the second movie came on right after, and the part with the gargoyle, I don't know why it wasn't even that visually like upsetting, but something about that gargoyle like near the end really terrified me. And I was a mess. I didn't sleep that night. So that would be like the first one that I was just like, yep, nope. The other one would be Snow White, the scene where she's running through the woods, because that went from like cute to horrifying much too fast for me as a wee babe.
Yeah.
Because just they really went in on it, and with how the trees looked, and I remember I just not prepared. And I think that's the biggest thing, because it's so cute. It's adorable. And also like that one hunter, like he was super creepy in his expressions, because it's again beginning animation stuff of the classic age. So he he's coming to take her heart, and I'm a little baby thinking she's gonna get her heart taken out. And there's one point where he does give the witch a heart, but it's a pig heart that she doesn't know, and you don't really see it. They're like careful about that because they never go too far. But as a child, still understood there's a heart in that box.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was pretty disturbing. So I think those would be my choices.
Yikes. What about you, Harley?
All right, I guess mine would be Never Ending Story. Has some interesting stuff in it. I remember the first time I watched it.
The cartoon one. Sorry, there was a cartoon one time where there was this. Sorry, there were these things that, like. Had you seen the cartoon one?
No.
Oh dang! It was a small series, but anyway, there's like these horrifying creatures that if you see them, that you would turn to stone, and so they were always wrapped in paper, and they had tentacle arms, and you never actually got to see them, but they were terrifying. And there was one part where someone just looked into the water because it was their tears, and they just screamed in awful horror before turning into stone, and the kid from Never Ending Story could feel that, and I was like terrified. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Terrible.
That's
You got a non
That's my actual. I knew I had one.
That one.
I repressed that one. That was so much worse than the other two.
Oh
that I
God, yeah, it sounds horrible.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
No, fine. You're bringing back memories now. Good Lord. Like, old man's coming back with oh God, that did happen.
Did you see it?
Did you see it?
I think so. Like,
Oh my
I
God.
that I have vague memories of seeing the both the movie and the cartoon version. So yeah,
They were vaguely disturbing a little bit in each episode.
definitely.
Was the
And
worst.
then the other movie I was thinking of was this Fred Savage movie called Little Monsters. Had like really like he gets sucked into this like underground world of all these creatures like goblins and like typical some D&D stuff, and you're like, ugh, these guys are kind of creepy. A lot of these people, like they're supposed to be fun, entertaining. Oh, they're your friends, like they want to hang out with you, but there's some disturbing implications in that movie. It's like, I think they kind of want to eat the kid. Some of them, like he's lucky he's got like the one friend to vouch for him, like the one monster that is his best friend. So he's like trying to look out for him. So.
Definitely. Yikes.
Wasn't the main guy, like the main bad guy, he had like this weird, like, melty baby face thing going on, right?
Yeah, some guy. Yeah, he had like a deformed like thing. Yeah. Oh man. Wow, I need to rewatch it. Yeah.
Ooh,
Still enjoyed it, but I remember that.
Movie, it throws you off. You're like, ugh, I don't know if I trust these monsters. They're supposed to be the good guys.
Yeah. Man, Neverending Story was a good pick because of freaking Atreyu, right?
Yeah.
Or no, was it Artemis is the horse? Was that it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I brought it up. What happens to the horse? You know, like
Yeah.
it disturbs a lot of people. So yeah.
That scarred everyone. I'm pretty sure every child who watched the Neverending Story like came away with some deep-seated scars. That's some straight up trauma. Yeah, for me, the two that I picked, they're both animated actually. And I loved these movies as a kid, but they definitely had some really disturbing elements to them. For me, it was The Last Unicorn was like my favorite, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot about I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're going to talk about. So.
Yeah. The skeleton and also the was it the griffin or whatever? No, the harpy. The harpy with the boobs.
Yeah.
Like she had like sagging boobs, and I'm like, why is she human at all? You know. So, and then the tree with the big old giant boobs that came alive. There were a lot of boobs in that movie for a kids movie. It was really strange.
His face is right up in him, and I'm like, this is so weird.
That boob sexually harassed him.
He did.
He brought it to life.
He didn't want that at all.
Yes, he brought it. I'm pretty sure he brought her to life.
I know
only
he
for her
like
to
tried
sexually
to call her out about it. She got all mad. I was like, yeah, that's just like a sexual harasser. You stop that.
You're an abuser, Tree. Gonna chop you down. Anyway, so it was that, but like me, it was mostly the skeleton because how freaking creepy he was when he goes unicorn, and he's like trying to like you know, about her being actually a unicorn because you know she was disguised as a human, but he could see, you know, or whatever. He knew what they looked like, blah blah blah, and he really wanted his wine, and I was really scared of the fact that he was insane because like, you know, they got him actual wine, like they made wine. Schmendrick the magician like made him wine and he didn't want it, you know, and then he's like, okay, or like they got him wine and then Schmendrick actually ended up like making wine, which was really just like pretending to, and then he hands him an empty bottle and Skeleton's like, this is the stuff, you know, it's just like, oh no, he's crazy. And so he's like, not only is he creepy, he's insane. And so anyway, that was horrifying. And then he had like red eyes too in his sockets. I was like, oh, just made him the worst. And so he was awful. That and then the Brave Little Toaster had some.
God. Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad you brought that one up. Yeah, I think that scarred everybody too.
I think so too. When the vacuum was trying to like eat his own cord, I guess to kill himself.
Yeah.
Like, why is this vacuum trying to kill himself? Why am I a child allowed to watch this? Yeah. What's happening?
that one.
The AC unit,
the air conditioner.
The air conditioner. He was I was gonna say is like that one. Oh, and the clowns. There were for some reason clowns. The dream that they had. Which why? Why was that there?
Unbelievably unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary to any element of the story or the movie in general. What? Why? So anyway, all of that was horrifying. Oh yeah, I do remember. This wasn't a movie actually, but I do remember being scarred by Majora's Mask as a kid because of how horrifying it is when he takes the mask off. He looks like he's in excruciating pain every time, and he looks like he's screaming every time he takes Majora's Mask off. So that was another thing that just, horrified me as a child. I had a lot of things do that actually. And that's technically a game that's like, it was for kids. Like, I mean, it was a Zelda game. So anyway, so there we go. There's sharing our trauma together. You guys feel closer to already.
I did think of another one. So and one of the Pee Wee movie. Like Pee Wee's. Oh man.
I watched that movie, Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a part where he gets a ride from a truck driver or a trucker, and like the face suddenly turns to him and it goes blah, like that and turns all deformed and stuff, and you're like, ah! I remember that broke me as a kid too. I was like, oh.
No, there was like no reason for it. Wasn't it a happy movie mostly?
Yeah, it was supposed to.
It comes like the scene is supposed to be kind of suspenseful. Like he's supposed to be slowly kind of getting creeped out, and then they just suddenly turn and do that, and they're like, oh wow, okay, was not expecting that.
I don't remember that, but I might have repressed it because I definitely watched that movie as a kid.
Oh, I remember another one too.
Go for it.
The Great Mouse Detective. That freaking bat. I literally had a nightmare about that bat once. That part, because it starts the Great Mouse Detective, it's a little girl and her dad, and he's like a toy inventor, and then someone tries to come in on her birthday, and he just gave her this really cute toy, a ballerina, and so there's the doors rattling. It's just like, oh, that's a little aggressive.
Oh yeah,
and then it gets more aggressive. Yeah. And he's like, the dad gets scared, so he puts the daughter away at the last second. And then the window opens up, and that bat face scarred imagery in my mind. And I remember it came into a dream of mine once. We were trying to get a bunch of bats and trying to figure out how to get them to stop attacking. And we found a way, but then it zoomed in on that bat that was in my dream, and it was flying away, and it stopped. And it smiled, and it turned back around to me. And then I woke up because I willed myself awake because I didn't want to know what that bat was going to do. And he did it twice. He did it twice in the movie too, because one was going through the window to steal her dad, and the other was when he was hiding in like a baby carriage, and she peeked over and just like pulled the blanket to look at the toy. It's supposed to be like a baby toy, and it was just him popping out. And I hated how they drew that face right in there, and it's just like terrifying.
Yikes!
Ooh, that was definitely 100% Disney kids movie.
Yeah, so. I remember being very disturbed by like many things as a child, but I'm trying to think of ones that were specifically targeting kids, like you said. I think that Anastasia had some creepy elements to it.
It did, yeah.
You know, not like super duper creepy, but enough to like
the green spectrals that like kept an eye on her.
Yes,
definitely they had some moments.
Oh, I have one. Freaking Princess and the Frog and the actual demons. Just his other side. Like, oh my goodness, what am I watching? They're literally dragging him to hell right now. Oh my god, that's for children. So that was weird. Not a fan.
I was thinking of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The end of that movie's got some creepy stuff that goes in.
That guy who melts.
It's Christopher Lloyd.
Oh my god, I have the one. I knew there was one that scarred me above like all else. We're Back, A Dinosaur Story.
I love that movie, but I think I know what you're gonna say.
That's one of my favorite movies too. But that part, I hate that part. It's like I want to watch it because it ends well, but just that with the like they
It's
really,
a just ending.
Yeah,
but like, oh my god,
it's so hauntingly quiet.
It is.
And
they
like,
did that on purpose.
Like, it was so like, gosh. Whew. And there was it was a carnival for fear, and like there was still like scary, but there was nothing scarier in that movie than that.
Than seeing a man eaten alive by crows. By his crows.
That was crazy.
Like, so that's probably my number one actually.
Yeah. I definitely watched it all the time.
Answer.
Because we're depressed.
Yeah, because you don't really want to remember them.
Exactly.
I forgot about the Story cartoon. That one, I don't know what they did with the sound editing, but the way that character screamed before he turned into stone.
They might have,
it was
emphasized it in editing.
So extra. It just, I don't know. It really got to me.
Yikes.
Props to Howard they pulled that one off. The ADR on that one.
Yeah, for sure. So I am going to go ahead and turn the question over to the audience. So now that we have shared our trauma with y'all, our childhood trauma, and somewhat some adult trauma, because I mean, some of these kids' movies I didn't watch until I was older. Still scarring in some ways. Like, this is for children anyway. So turning the question over to you guys. What was the most disturbing kids movie that you've ever seen, or even kids show that you've ever seen? I don't mind opening it up. I can throw a video game in there, it's fine. So, what is the most disturbing kids aimed media that you've ever witnessed? Please feel free to comment down below. Also, do you have any thoughts on any of the stuff that we talked about today? The Picard series. Have you seen the first episode? What did you think of it? The KOTOR remake. Are you excited? Don't really care. Have you played any BioWare games? Feel free to talk about it with us. We would love to hear from you. So thank you guys again for watching. And if everybody is good to go, we'll go ahead and say thank you so much. Please stab that subscribe button. We want you united in our medieval army. It is very important to us. We want you specifically. You watching this. If you like this